This is season 3, episode 35 of Decoded Podcast. I'm Roland Chidiak. He's Chris Clough. I won't even let him speak for himself. You know, I was just thinking, we probably are on season 8, episode 12, if you count all the on-ramps and off-ramps.
I know. And I've started to, kind of be, I still kind of go back to that thought, like I wish there was a way for us to capture. Well, there is a way for us to capture it, but for us to, I think that in a lot of ways, I would have loved to have gone back to and listened to some of our on-ramp conversations.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. That would be cool.
I would say we have at least whatever, so we're up to, I don't know, probably 120 episodes, maybe somewhere around there, maybe more. I don't know. Honestly, but I was just going to say, let me drop this last piece. Whatever number of hours we have of podcast posted, I would say there's easily another 200%. Like we would have had at least another 2 times worth of content just from the on-ramps. Now I'll say that's gold to me, because I think that's the relationship building stuff. Like that's the check-in, that's the how is kind of like your week. I think that it's also the de-escalation. It's where sometimes we kind of come in hot and we need to kind of just chat something out. And if we hadn't kind of gone that route in the on-ramp, I think there's a positive correlation between getting our words out when we kind of land and be able to talk to each other, and our ability to kind of navigate the conversation that results on tape. Do you know what I mean? It's like you just have to get some of the words out, and then you're like, okay, now here's some other stuff that I was kind of stuck behind it.
So what I want to say is we could very easily record the on-ramp and off-ramp and put it in the dark web. I wanted to incorporate the dark web because I listened to a podcast about the dark web, and it was really cool because basically the way that these guys broke it down was that we're all part of. So when you look at the dark web or the deep web, whatever you want to call it, there are 2 parts of it. There's the seedy part that is, where people go to do things or involve themselves with things that are not legal and sometimes immoral. But there's this also part of the dark web, deep web, where there's content on the web. It's just behind a wall. And the way that these guys put it was really awesome. They're like, your email is part of the deep web because it's on the internet, but some Joe Blow can't get to it unless they have the proper credentials to get there. And they're like, so there's oh my God, I think he said, I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to say it because it sounds right. When you Google something, you're only getting 14% of the content about that subject that lives on the internet, because the remainder of that percentage lives behind closed walls. Right. So like all your banking information, your email, anything that requires, if there's a link and you enter the link into your URL, your address bar, and it takes you to a page and says you don't have permission, it's because it's behind a wall. So it exists, it lives on the internet. It's just that deep net. The dark could be dark, I don't know, whatever. I just thought that was cool. So we could have on-ramp, off-ramp conversations on the internet, but it would just live in a part of the internet that people don't have access to.
Well, sometimes people call that the paywall. Like that's part of where that is, right?
The paywall's doesn't sound good to me. I prefer the dark or deep web. But anyway, You're right. Okay, so I wanted to ask you if you've received your birthday gift yet.
No.
So people, one day, this is where my wife would say, Roland's reading comprehension is very poor. And she's accurate. So when I read something, I have to read it several times to make sure.
Is it that, or is it inferencing?
No, my comprehension is bad. That's why I'm a slow
Okay.
reader.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, when I read something, well, who knows, Chris? But I'm gonna chalk it up to reading comprehension. So one day, 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, Chris sends out a tweet, and the tweet was asking people if they knew what day of the week they were born on.
Mm-hmm.
What I read was my birthday is going to be on Tuesday. So I thought to myself, well, I'm going to get the guy a gift. It's his birthday on Tuesday.
Very kind. Very kind.
So anyway, I ordered him a gift. We're still waiting for him to receive it.
Yeah.
I'll give you. Oh, sorry.
No, you finish up for sure.
I'll give you a clue. I ordered it off Etsy.
Nice.
So it's like a handcrafted type gift. And it's one of those things where as soon as I ordered it, of course I'm late to the party, right? So your birthday's on a Tuesday. I think I ordered it on a Friday. And they're like, well, from the day we get the order, it'll take, 5 days for us to send it out. And then 5 days pass and you still haven't received it. So I contacted the seller, and it was the seller's like, oh, sorry, dude, I'll send it out tomorrow. I'm like, you broke the rules here.
The
like,
Etsy code.
I agreed to a contract and you just broke the terms of the contract. But anyway, so hopefully you get it soon. We'll be talking about it soon. But I sent Chris a gift for his birthday, which wasn't last week.
Either way, you're still early. Like, even though it's late, it's early. So let me shape that out a little bit. So the tweet, it's still sitting out there. The tweet was just, I was filling out an online application, and it was the first time I ever noticed this before. It took my numerical birth date and translated it into letters, like text. So it said, I put in the, November 30th, 1971, and it added in Tuesday, November 30th, 1971. And I kind of, I was sort of looking like, it was a bit of a stunner. I was like, I honestly did not know that I was born on a Tuesday. So, of course, used Google and just searched to confirm. I'm like, yeah, in fact, that day in 1971 was a Tuesday. So then it got me thinking about my birth space day. And that's how I wrote it in the tweet. So I did have the words birthday in there, but I put birth and then a space and day. So anyways, I started to think about, well, okay, I wondered if anybody else actually knew the day that they were born on, what day of the week it was. And then I kind of went one step deeper and started to think about what, if any other major events in my life so far had happened on that day. So right away, which kind of lit me up right away, because I put in my daughter's birthday and it was a Tuesday. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to find a pattern. I'm going to find a pattern here. And then that was it. I couldn't find another pattern after that. So, yeah, it was just, no one answered. No, I didn't get any hits on that. Well, but I guess apart from me getting a gift, which is really, really cool.
I just Googled mine. I was born on a Wednesday.
There we go.
Wednesday. But I'm like, it's Chris's birthday on Tuesday. And then I'm like, he hasn't mentioned anything to me about it. Maybe he's one of those guys. He'll tweet about it, but he won't talk about it. Because I'm one of those guys. I tweet about all kinds of stuff that I don't say to people face to face.
Yeah, exactly.
So I hope you enjoy your gift. I'm looking forward to your reaction. I don't know. I started this really cool project with a fellow educator in my school board that I don't know if I've mentioned it to you or not, but so a vice principal in my school board, his name is Jamie. One day I tweeted something about, or maybe he tweeted something about creating videos. So I wrote back, I said, you like to create videos? I like to do that stuff too. Our tweets turned into a virtual meeting where we talked about possibly collaborating on some kind of project. It's the same kind of along the same lines of what you and I do, like two teachers, different extremes. What can we do? Anyway, so we decided we would take last weekend to record mundane stuff that we experience in our daily lives and then see if we could turn it into something creative. And it was actually a fun experience. I took some of the footage that he put together and I put in and turned it into a video, like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And he did the same thing. And I just thought it was cool that, like, we talked the other day, we talked on Friday to kind of, so last weekend we collected video. We did nothing with it. We talked, today's Sunday, we talked 2 days ago, and we were like, okay, by the end of the weekend, we'll both create a video using the footage that we both created, and we'll see what we can do with it. And when we were talking on Friday, we were talking, one of the really cool things about our conversation was the fact that I don't know him and he doesn't know me.
Right.
We only know each other from committee work. We were both on one or two of the same committees. So I would see him at the committee. What's up? How you doing? That type of thing has turned into, right now, 2 virtual meetings and a video creation where I basically let him into my life and he let me into his life.
Okay.
Again, I come right back to this thing we call the internet and how it makes stuff like this possible. Because if you rewind 20 years, I'm sitting at a table, he's sitting at a table, we're in a committee. There's no way that I find out that he likes to make videos because we don't have the medium to allow us to get to that point. There's also no way I pick up the telephone, call him at his personal home and say, hey man, you want to collaborate on a project?
Right.
Like, it would have never happened. He's high school, he's admin. I'm elementary classroom teacher. It's whacked out. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you because it seems like there's a kind of a trend forming here for me where if I'm going to collaborate, it's going to be with an educator who is the opposite of me. So we'll see what comes next. But it was really cool. And then after I watched his video that he created, I was like, wow, that was cool. And he said the same about my video. I don't know if he's just being polite, but it was really cool to see the same footage used in 2 different ways. Some of the same footage we use for the same purpose, but generally speaking, he took his video creation and creativity down one road, and I took it down a completely different road, and we both agreed that we didn't see those roads before they were laid out in front of us. Which brings me to this whole pandemic and like the really cool things that are coming out of this pandemic. Again, would he have tweeted something like that out? Would I have read it? Would we have come together to do something? Probably not. The book club. We are now running a second iteration of the book club. This time we're using an anti-racist text. And I'm proud to say that a lot of the guys that were in the first iteration have come back to the second. And the people who didn't, no problem. But we've got some new members who seem to really be excited and into jumping into a situation that they don't really know. They don't really know what's going on, right? All they know so far is information from my emails and information from the WhatsApp group that you've created and you've allowed them to come into. But I think, like, I'm really soaking up these creative experiences and these experiences that I'm realizing would not be happening if it weren't for this pandemic. So there's some really cool things coming. I wanted to share that the teacher project with Jamie because I feel like I feel like there's some light that I need, right? Like the book club is light for me. It's and it's going to be heavy lifting, and I don't mind that heavy lifting at all with the guys that are there. And the teacher creativity video thing is light, and me going outside and getting exercise is light, and spending time with my family in the way that we're doing now is light. You know, I don't know about you guys, but when we were told that we were allowed to bubble,
we just had Karen and I had that conversation last night.
So we expanded our bubble yesterday.
You did, eh?
As soon as we found out we were allowed to bubble, we went to my in-laws' house where my son and my wife got to hug, well, her parents, his grandparents, for the first time since before they went on a cruise in February. So beginning of February, they went on a cruise. They came back and they self-isolated right away because they had no idea if they had been exposed to something or not. And we've been 2 meters apart ever since. So right away they were incorporated into the bubble. And then yesterday, my wife's sister and her 2 kids came over, and the kids were playing soccer on the street with hockey nets, and that's part of the bubble now. So it was a no-brainer for my wife's family to bubble with us and for us to bubble with them. But there's a little bit more light, right?
So the whole bubble thing. So you're completely, that's it. Nobody else gets added in. So it's not like this isn't some sort of Venn diagram, correct? It is only it's an exclusive new level of relationship. Yeah.
Yes, but there's a bit more that kind of muddies the water. There is this notion that now people are allowed to gather into a maximum group of 10 people, but it's not the same as your bubble. It's still social distanced.
So bubble means contact.
I believe so. I'm just listening to everybody talk about it. I haven't read it. All I know is this. According to my wife, we've now expanded our bubble to include her parents and her sister and her kids. And yes, we're coming into close contact with them. So there was hugging. There's playing sport in close contact. Those are the people that we are now, I guess, connected to in terms of like we're not observing the physical distancing. But then there's the gathering of humans. So we're allowed to I can go hang out with people in my neighborhood up to 10 people.
So non-bubble.
Non-bubbled. It's not a bubble. It's just a gathering.
But you ain't hugging them.
Oh, hell no. I didn't even hug my mother-in-law and father-in-law. And then at one point my wife was like, "This is weird. Why are you standing so far away?" I'm like, "Well, they're not my parents, so I don't need to hug them." And this is what I'm kind of comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with being 2 meters away from people. So you guys were talking about the bubble?
We were. So it became right away like, who do you trust? I have to be honest. That's what it came down to. It was more, who are you going to trust to sort of maintain the integrity of the bubble? So we didn't really get to a landing spot on that. And I don't know who we'd say. We had the conversation like, well, but it would be great for the kids to be able to, play with other kids. So we had this sort of the kind of typical parent analysis of it. And, but when Karen mentioned it to me, like, who would you want to bubble with? I just flat out said, I'm okay without a bubble. I'm totally okay without a bubble. But I'm only one part of the fam, right? So I guess this is something that we'll have to bring back to conversation as a group. Yeah, because I'm not hugging anyone. This past week, I'll tell you, what made it interesting of the whole me switching jobs. Probably the last time I saw any of my colleagues that I will see them in real life was on Thursday when I went in. We had a day to go in and clean up shop and do stuff. So I saw people there. People were, talking about it, and there's many moments that should have ended in someone, or me throwing a hug on someone. But nope, did not happen. So it's kind of interesting to do this. I can remember thinking to myself, and probably you and I talked about this at least once. What is it that will actually make you feel comfortable coming out of quarantine? Like, what is the thing as you're poking your head out of your whatever the bunker door opens, and what's going to make you feel like things are kind of all good? And I don't remember if you and I got to an answer on it, but for me it was kind of like, well, nothing other than some sort of antiviral, right? Like being able to get some sort of a booster shot that will protect me. No PPE, no protocol, no distancing, nothing. I don't trust, and none of that makes me feel like things are all good. You give me a booster shot that's been developed in addition to all those other things, I'm starting to come around. I would come around to that. But yeah, I think that, when she asked me about that, so sort of like just straight up, who are we going to include? And I was just like, yeah, I'm okay on bubbling. I realized that I sort of threw down on my opinion, but I don't know if my opinion will stick, because ultimately, I guess it's a family decision. Did you ask your boys about that? Was there a discussion, or you just, it's happening?
No, it's happening. And I think it's because there was no question. I think it's because we have family that's so close, and that's normally part of our lives. Or not normally, they are part of our lives. So it's not, there was never a question. As soon as it, like my son has been waiting for the bubble, as he calls it, for like weeks. He was bothered when people were, it was nice out and people were going out and doing stuff. He's like, they're going to wreck it for everybody else. We're not going to be able to bubble because of these people. Right. So he's been searching, wanting that bubble, but he's also very strict. He doesn't want, and my cough probably scares people. I have a cough. I don't know where it came from. And my allergies have kicked in hardcore. So I'm sure people would just die if I was out in public and blowing my nose, and they just, so, it's another reason why I should just stay home. But my youngest has been all over this. He's been following the rules. I think we're going to work ourselves out of a hole. Like, he found out the other day that his baseball team is allowed to come together and train together. They're not allowed to scrimmage, and they're not allowed to play against anybody else, but they are allowed to come together as a team and to continue their training. When we told him, he was upset because he feels like people don't understand, so people are breaking rules. And so he's worried that people on his team will break the rules, that his coaches will break the rules. I have to tell you, the kid's got some valid, like, having lived life for 43 years, people don't always do what they're supposed to do. I've noticed that. And I'm guilty of not always doing what I'm supposed to do either. So the kid's onto something. But we've told him that, as his parents, we will have the final say in what he does and who he hangs out with and stuff. And we've told him, like we told him yesterday, we said, we think, based on what we've heard about this going back to sport at this level, his mom and I are both comfortable with the rules that have been given to us. And we think it's time, in the way that they're proposing, that he go back and he be social again with people and participate in some of the training activities that he was doing before all this happened. But it's interesting because your question, I don't have an answer to your question. I'm still like, I'm still, I, I'm cautious. Like, I have to admit, I got together with a few of the guys in the neighborhood, and the first thing I said was, there's a couple of guys on the block that every Thursday they'll gather in somebody's driveway and chit chat, have a beverage or two. And they've been bugging me for the last, 3 or 4 weeks. How come you don't come? And I'm like, because I don't know, it's late at night, and I don't know if I feel like hanging out with you guys. So the other day they said, you got to come. I said, well, I don't know what your opinions are about all this social distancing stuff, but I've not been hiding in my house for, since March 13th to go and ruin it now. Like, I'm not in. That's not what I'm about. And they're like, dude, you come, you do what's comfortable for you. So I went over, and you know what? They were all respecting the distancing rules, and they had like chairs and stuff set up so that everything was legit. And I was okay with that. I'm like, well, I like you guys. I've known you guys for years. So it's not like I just met you, and it's nice that you want to just chat without having the kids running around or cutting the grass or whatever. That's nice. But it was definitely interesting. Like, I was like, it's foreign. The whole thing's foreign to me. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy people aren't coming to my house wanting to come in my house, because you know how I feel about that.
I do.
I'm so happy that we had pizza delivered yesterday, and it's contactless delivery. So the pizza man left the pizza at the door, rang the bell, and then walked far enough away from the door so that when I opened it, he wasn't there. He's just like, gave me a wave, like, your pizza's here, I'm out. I was like, right on. Curbside pickup, bring it on, I'm in. I don't know if I told you, I think I did last week. I told you that I picked up my son's baseball stuff. So I had to actually go into a store, and it was foreign to me. It was foreign. I, put my mask on, walked in the door, and the mask doesn't even fit nicely. That's the other thing too. My wife ordered me some new masks, and she talked to her mom about making me a bigger mask because it doesn't sit well. And it pisses me off, because then I don't want to go out, because if I can't have it on right, then I'm not going out. And so now that's the last thing I need, is another reason to become a hermit. So we're working on getting me a mask that'll do okay with the beard. Now, as you know, I was going to shave the beard off, and I've slowly walked away from that idea. I could come back to it. My oldest son, every time he sees me during the day, he'd be like, you chickened out. You chickened out. You're not a man of your word. He's pulling that on me. And I'm like, I went through a phase where I'm like, it's time for it to go. And now I'm feeling okay having it on my face still. But I need a mask. I even said to my wife, where's one of the kids has to have a bandana. Give me a bandana. She's like, you're not putting on a bandana. I'm like, I'm not wearing this little itty bitty mask. The problem is my nose is too big and I don't have a chin, right? So the thing wants to creep up here, and here it gets pulled up because there's nothing holding it down. So I'm waiting for some genius to make an awesome mask for bearded dudes like myself, but it's an issue. This whole thing has become an issue for me. I gotta go. I'm going back into work tomorrow. I'm going into work Monday and Tuesday this week. I'm going to clean out the kids' desks and gather all their gear into bags for them to pick up the next week. and I got to take down my room. And I don't want to hang out with people. Like, I'm not looking forward to talking to whoever's in the building. I literally want to get into my classroom, close the door, get to work, and go home, because I feel like I'm under some time restraints. Like, my wife's got to go into school this week and do some stuff, and I have to go back and deal with OSRs. So it's like there's some stuff going on that needs to get done, and I don't see how it's going to happen without coming into contact with people. Because my concern is that there are people who are going to be around me who are not taking this seriously, and who are anti-mask, and who, like, I'm the total opposite of them. I respect their opinion and their perspective, but if you're not going to wear a mask and you want to come closer to me than 2 meters, don't. I will respect my wishes and stay away from me, because I'm not interested. So if you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. Don't come close to me. I don't want to wear the mask either, but I recognize that the mask is to protect other people. I get it. It's not comfortable. It doesn't fit on my face. But I'm going to have to strap it on because that's the right thing to do. So I think I'm going to have more trouble coming out of this than other people. I know one of my kids is not, he doesn't like it at all. He's gotten used to this new way of operating. And this is I love this about human nature. We've now passed that 30-day mark. And if you've been doing this the way you've been told to do this, it's become a routine and a habit now. And now we're going to have to break out of that. And that's going to cause a lot of conflict and discomfort. So we built ourselves a nice routine because it was needed for protection. And now we're going to have to bust out of that somehow. And that's going to cause people problems.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of the grocery shopping and kind of the running the errands and stuff. So it's just now that that Karen started to do it too. It's just the way things kind of happened. So it is interesting the where we are in our stage of seeing any further than our front yard is still pretty new, right? It's still pretty new. But as far as I'll have to update you, dude, because I'm not in any hurry to. Yeah, there's a couple reasons here. One, I just don't know if I feel it's safe. It's a safe move. Two, it's probably like I'm just not feeling it. Like me, if I just personally say it, I'm like, I'm good. Keep doing my thing. I don't need to. And this isn't because I'm doing the grocery shopping, kind of existing in the outside world. As far as my craving to sort of have more people around is, that hasn't been activated. The third part to it though is, if it's so, okay, we spend a really concentrated amount of time around my own family, love the sort of like I've never spent so much concentrated time around my whole family ever. Getting to know them and kind of learning from them and just seeing them so much over the last 2 months, it's been great. It's been great. Do I want to have that intensive of connection with more people? I don't know, because what that basically means is, I mean, from you think of it from your perspective of having the opportunity to see a few more people, but now what you've done is kind of exponentially increased the amount of time that you would have to give away with a few more people. So you're now the only people that those people can connect with. So it's not just you saying, I need to kind of go stand out on the street with those guys and kind of connect and say hi. It's also those guys being able to say, now we get to come and do that to you too. So building that relationship outside of our little unit, I don't know if I'm really ready for that obligation. You know, you kind of reach out to them, hey, you want to come over for something? And then they call you, yeah, hey, can we hang out? You're like, well, no, I'm good. that refreshed me. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to. I want to read a book. I'm not down with sort of offering it back to you at this point. And if it is a bubble, then they're kind of screwed because you're the only people that they can hang out with. So I'm going kind of selfish on this, but do I really want whoever I include in there calling me up and saying, "Hey, yo, I'm coming. Let's do coffee. Hey, let's grab a beer in my backyard." I don't know if I want those obligatory conversations to start yet. I like being able to decide how my day is going to roll and what my family's going to do. It's almost like I'm really appreciating that freedom inside the bubble, so to speak. So
I get it. It's funny because as you explained that, I thought about the guys on the street, and basically for the whole time this has been happening, we only see each other. Like when we're out cutting the grass, we see each other and we chat, right? It's like outside of the street, I'm not going anywhere else. So it's funny because I never would have guessed that these three guys would be the guys that I would kind of be talking to during this whole time, like in real life. But they are, like it's hilarious. I'll be coming home from my walk at a certain time, and one neighbor will be out with his dog getting ready to go. And so we'll stand on the sidewalks and we'll just talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I go in my house, he goes on his walk. Like the other guy's constantly going places. I don't know where he's going, but he's always driving. So he'll stop and he'll talk to me from his car, and I'm on my driveway. But now that I think about it, I've been talking to these guys. I've been communicating with the entire time that this has been happening. And I would have never included them if you'd say to me, "Hey, who are you in chat with this whole time?" Would have gone right over my head. I wouldn't have recognized them at all, but now I do. It's funny how that whole thing works, and I'm not prepared for, like, the things you say resonate with me. The only problem for me is that I'm living inside of a bubble. I could really I have gotten used to the way life is, avoiding going places and being with people to reduce the chances of spreading this virus. But with that, like my kids stopped going to school, so they couldn't see their friends anymore. I stopped going to work, so I couldn't talk to anybody outside of the people in my family face to face type of thing. There were when I recognize how much freedom I have and how much time I have, that's come at a price. We had to pay the price. Now, when I think about my kids, it saddens me because I wouldn't want this for them to not be able to hang out. Like they miss their friends. And my son's graduating from grade 8 in a couple of weeks. And that whole thing is weird. And, I think, well, at least he's in grade 8. It could be worse. It could have been a high school graduation or a university graduation or a college graduation. So I see it as the lesser of all the evils personally, but I bet that doesn't feel like that to him. I bet he's just not happy that he won't get to experience it the way it has been experienced for many years. That's where I'm landing with this. So, unless you have anything more to add.
I wanted to add one thing if I could.
You can.
Cool. And I think ultimately, as dads, as far as dad style goes, I'm going to, whatever my family ends up deciding, like I'm gonna be going that route. Like if my family wants to burst the bubble, what am I gonna say? Like, I don't know. I guess I could say no. I guess I could be that guy. I don't know how I feel about that. I wanted to mention, and it's kind of like, it's a bit of a riff on on your book club and that idea of your project with the video project with your friend. I sort of started up a book club soon after we started the book club for men. I started up one with my colleagues, and it was a way to kind of do something creative, do something kind of to get the brain, kind of get the brain moving and feeling connected. And we just finished up, I may have mentioned this before, we just finished up From the Ashes by Jesse Thistle. Fantastic book. And what we were able to do, this is kind of what I just wanted to touch lightly, is Jesse came to our last meeting. So we got a chance to spend, it was just under an hour and a half with the author, and ask him questions about stuff that kind of intrigued us in the book, and some of the stuff that we were confused by in the book. And it was really cool. It was really cool to be able to take, when you're in the book club, you get kind of excited about, you get on a topic and the members are kind of throwing in their knowledge and you're wrestling with it. And you start to realize at some point, though, like, you really don't know if your answer's right. Like, you just really don't know, because it's just you developing your ideas, and unless you can actually ask the author, what were you thinking in this part? You just never really know. So being able to do that was so wonderful, to be able to ask the author directly about parts in there. And the crew had some, I'd say, like, some really astute observations. So some of the answers we were getting back was stuff that we almost couldn't imagine. So it's sort of, as you're reading through and you think to yourself, oh, like that part, like there's something about that part. And then you try and do some research and you try and find it. It's not in the research. You don't feel like you're getting any closer to it. So just us being able to ask him direct questions. And the thing, it was so simple. It was so simple to set up. I tweeted him, and then his manager, who's his wife, DM'd me back. Then we moved to Gmail, and then it was done. That was it in this case. Now, I know it doesn't always work out like that, but it was really fascinating at how quick it happened. And all of a sudden, we're sitting with him, and I just gave him the link. We were using Google Meet, gave him the link. So a couple of us were already in the room, and then, like, bing, he popped up. He's like sitting in his living room chatting with us. The mind blower of it is often, and I think about my experience in school, just in general, any of the books that I've ever read, any of the sort of learning experiences, to feel like you're getting to the source isn't often a moment that you get to enjoy. You're using other people's material. You never really are necessarily talking to the author to be able to talk to someone that had sort of created that thing. It just doesn't happen, in my experience, all that often to me. So to be able to talk to someone, and the book itself is his life. So right away, how do you talk to someone about their life when you perceive the elements of the book are like quite like brutal? Like, the book is brutal about his life on the streets and drug addiction and injuries that happened as a result of that, and the isolation, like everything about it. You're almost like reading someone's journal, and then you know that you're going to be able to talk to them. We had a couple conversations in the book club, like, okay, who's going to ask the first question? Just not knowing, like, who's going to have the bravery to kind of like throw down on something from the book, because you're just very much seeing someone's life on the page. And sometimes it was funny, sometimes it was horrific, sometimes it was frightening. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of share that, because it was a real gift that he was able to come and speak with us and extend elements of the book into, like, spaces that we would have never been able to consider. We would have never been able to sort of imagine and sort of figure out the other side of what was on the page. So yeah, cheers to Jesse for coming out and making it so easy for us to ask what we felt were hard questions. And he just kept on saying, I'll answer anything you want. Ask. So
that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool to have that experience.
So that was the only thing. There's my bit to add.
Your micro bit.
My micro bit. I will say the one thing I will say, I do feel a little out of sorts. It's funny. We were on a good tear talking on Saturdays. So talking on Sundays does feel a little bit different. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it. It's almost like I know exactly in our regular cycle the things that I have to take care of on a Saturday when I get up from the computer. Today I'm like, what do I do on Sundays during this time?
I'm a little whacked out too. Like,
yeah,
I keep thinking it's Saturday and I'm like, uh-oh, don't do that. That's not good. Mind you, every day is Saturday if you want it to be, because I don't have to actually go anywhere, but that's not true. I have to physically go into work tomorrow. It's going to be weird. I got to remember to bring my camera.
And your keys.
Oh, geez. I don't even know where my keys are.
Yeah, that's the thing. Bring camera, keys, any sort of whatever pass. I don't know if you have like photocopier card. Like, do you have to handle that stuff in tomorrow?
No.
Oh, okay.
I need to find... I don't even think my fob works. So I think somebody has to let me into the building. But yeah, I got to find my class key. Whatever. I'll figure it out.
You will.
I need to clean out those desks and gather all my student stuff and take down my room. I have 2 days to do that.
Tricky stuff, dude.
And then I'm still teaching on top of that. Like, I still have to put out stuff for my students to do, which I have to say kind of bothers me. And I'll tell you why. It kind of bothers me because at my kids' school and my sister-in-law's school, they've been told that on the days that they have to go in to hand back student stuff to them, that the expectation is that there will not be any schoolwork that day because the teachers won't be available to put out the work and to deal with the work. I've not gotten that message from my administrator. But then again, it's all perspective, right? Like I'm only going to be able to go in Monday and Tuesday this week because my wife has to do something on Wednesday and Thursday at her school. And then Friday's my son's birthday. So we're going to try to avoid having to physically go into the buildings to do stuff because we want to hang out with him. But, I mean, if you put all that aside, I guess I could go in any day I want this week, but I just feel like the stress is there to get in there and to get things done because I don't know how long it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole OSR thing, I don't think that's going to have to wait till next week. And next week I'm going in for at least a half a day to return my students' stuff to them. But this whole thing's interesting. The whole thing's still interesting and how we're going to return to work. Anyway, I got to remember to bring in my camera to school because I want to record what it's like to go back in there having left it thinking I was only going to be away for 3 weeks. So I suspect I have stuff like on my back table that I had planned to do when I got back in that now are just outdated and not worth much. We'll see what I can put together.
People are saying one of the stunners is seeing whatever message was on the board, either the date or some people having morning messages or the to-do list or the reminders or the homework, something that kind of reminds you of a moment frozen in time. So
now what I traditionally do is on Fridays, I will set up the date on the calendar for the Monday we return.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't remember if I did that for 3 weeks forward. I don't remember if I don't think I did, because 3 weeks is a long time. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see what happened to my room. Like, where did I leave it? Because I don't remember. I did lock up some of my personal items, but I do that every Friday,
Right.
right? So I don't know. We'll see what it's like. We'll see what it's like. I don't know. Can we see what you drew today, this morning?
Yeah, today was just a little more freestyle.
Look at that. Man, you make my beard look so good. Chiseled like that. I love it.
Chiseled beard.
I like the T eyes too. The T's, the capital T's are for eyes.
Just sort of simple today. Feeling simple.
My beard reminds me of The Lion King, because I think The Lion King has some graphics like that.
Very angular, yeah.
Yeah,
Sort of
yeah, yeah.
geometric. It's taken a while for me to make your beard look that beautiful. Even with, I will say, you look at some of the earlier drawings of your beard, and it did not have any of that little silver accent on there, bro. So yeah.
Yeah, the silver. People always say to me,
Oh,
are you gonna color it in? I'm like, no. Why? Well, because this is just the way it is. So
it is the way life goes.
So thanks for a good chat this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for your birthday gift.
Me too. Although I'll have to. I am looking forward to it just kind of appearing in my mailbox.
You had me laughing though, because the one day you messaged me this week and you're like, I still haven't received my gift. And it was just funny. It made me laugh because of the way it came out. It's like, it's not your birthday, right? But you're like, but Roland, you said you were sending a gift, but it's not here yet.
Yep.
Which is when I contacted the bro and he's like, oh, I'll send it out tomorrow. See, stuff like that kills me. That's not cool. That's not cool. But anyway, you're gonna get your early birthday gift soon.
I love it. I will cherish it, and definitely, if it shows up this week, I'm sure I'll say something about it at some point. I'll post up, and I'll say it's my not birthday gift.
Because I can't read.
What I will do though is I'll make sure I only open it on a Tuesday. So I'll wait till my actual birth day to open it.
Right on.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, enjoy your Sunday. Hope it doesn't throw you off too much.
All good, man. Be well. I'll chat you soon.
Yeah, peace.